Hi everyone, Mike White here, and welcome to this week's blog post. Boy, what a crazy week that we're seeing. Lots of stuff going on, and this week I'd really like to hit the point of we're working really against Newton's law. Newton had a law of physics saying that uh, things in motion tend to stay in motion, and for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Well, that's not really true in our business. In fact, much of what's happening now is disproving a lot of things because largely we're in an area where we've never been before. Let's be honest. It's really crazy if we take a little time to look at it and remember that so much of the interest rate market and the stock market are built upon a belief and more about emotion than factual data. And so it's really important that you kind of temper what's going on and then understand for many people, it's a challenge for them to figure out how to react because we've never been there before. And so when we talk about normal beliefs that if the stock market goes one way, the bond market goes the other, but clearly the other day it didn't happen because the bond market improved at the same time. Bond market improved the other day by 20 basis points. At the same time, the stock market was opening up over 600. A couple of weeks ago, there was a conversation about the 10-year Treasury never not being able to go below 125, and then we watched it go below 1. The other day, we had the Fed do an emergency rate cut and cut, 50 basis points. And we get back the same argument about people saying, well, if the Fed cut 50 basis points, did that, my interest rate on my loan must go down. And we know that didn't happen. In fact, the Fed cut and rates closed higher on Wednesday. So it really is that, a time that we've got to be paying attention. Now, a lot of this is spurred by coronavirus. Lots of different stories. People are afraid. People are believing certain things. I think it's important that, we don't get paranoid over what's happening, but we don't take it too lightly. In fact, yes, issues in China may very well cause issues in the United States, not only with people getting sick, but also with supply chain interruptions. Both of those are really important. Now, so far, based on the information that we're seeing, coronavirus is not as scary a thing as past viruses have been. It appears that most of the people who are getting coronavirus didn't even know they had anything. They test positive for it, but they had no symptoms or felt maybe like they had a cold. Clearly, their people are dying, and they tend to be people who were medically compromised already. And they're saying that it has, it's harder to transmit, and the fact that children don't seem to be that susceptible to it, and certainly not getting overly sick from it. So the other side to that same coin is supply chain interruptions with here in the United States, which clearly is going to have an effect on our economy. Now, from a mortgage perspective, we have to be aware if those things happen and the GDP goes down or the economy starts to stagnate, there's probably not an underlying push for rates to go higher. Let's be honest, we haven't figured this whole coronavirus thing out yet. It is something that we need to pay attention to. But ultimately, from a mortgage perspective, we are in uncharted territory when it comes to interest rates and where they're going and how this is working out. Some companies are already forcing themselves pricing higher than market to slow down volume. So you have to look at your company and see where it is that you are and what it is that you're doing and understand that the things that we don't control, like coronavirus, there are things that we can do. And the first most important thing to do is, hey, people, just remember to wash your hands. My 4-year-old grandson has a song that he sings so that he washes his hands, for 20 or 30 seconds. He uses soap and water. And the number one thing that you can do to prevent coronavirus is washing your hands. So something we have control over. The other thing that we have to look at is saying to ourselves, get your information and your news from trusted sources. There's so much misinformation out there that you have to be paying attention. And so the volatility of the information and the emotion is going to have volatility in our rates. And nobody can prognosticate where the market is going, because if we did, none of us would be doing what we'd be doing. We'd all be shorting or longing the market right now, depending upon where we are. So advice I give you, other than washing your hands, is don't speculate on where the market's going. So have the talk with your customers and your referral partners about rates, whether it's a purchase or a refinance. Explain to them where you are, why you are where you're at when it comes to pricing and what they may see. We're in uncharted territory. My suggestion is day-to-day float at the situation unless you have a customer that really has no rate tolerance whatsoever. But then have the conversation about locking them and them being done, that we're not going back and revisiting this. Again, this has to be something that you set yourself up on how to deal with this, because you certainly don't want to be doing the same loan and disclosing it 4, 5, or 6 times because you want to improve the pricing somewhere or whatever. So it's important that you move quickly on your loans. It's a great thing about being able to move quickly is you're not exposed that long into the marketplace, so you can jump in and lock your loan and close and be done. And again, just be careful about where you are and what you're doing with your loans as far as, EPOs. Have the conversations with your management team to understand how you treat those. What's going to happen if people refinance out of your loans? Are you capable of refinancing the loan yourself and just not getting a commission on it as opposed to repaying? Every company has different rules and regulations. So you have to know what it is that you're doing. You have to pay attention to it. Understand that the actions and the reactions in this market are certainly not equal and opposite. Things are happening. It's not simple physics. It's not really predictable right now, but you do have to understand that we have tools in place to be able to help us cope. And the first thing that it is telling our customers the truth and letting them be aware of all the information so that they can make an informed decision. As always, if you have questions or comments, it's Mike at imtcoaching.com. Take care and have a great week.